A few hours later, I woke up in a hospital bed, still in shock, and there was my mother-in-law, on her knees, practically begging me not to press charges. Her face had gone white, pale with fear. But when my husband, Rick, spoke up, oh boy, you should have seen her expression. It was a mix of guilt and dread. Now, let me back up a bit. My husband Rick and I, both 30, we just welcomed our daughter, May, into the world 2 weeks ago. May is our first child, and the excitement is through the roof, but let me tell you, it's also been the most chaotic, overwhelming adjustment. Parenthood is no joke. Every day has felt like a whirlwind of diapers, feedings, and sleepless nights. We don't have much help because, well, the day our daughter was born, everything went completely wrong. I'll never forget it. Even though I love May more than anything, the experience surrounding her arrival was, without exaggeration, one of the most traumatic moments of my life. I honestly don't think I'll ever be able to shake the paralyzing fear I felt that day. There were moments I truly thought I wouldn't make it through. But, thank God for my husband, Rick. If it hadn't been for his quick thinking, I don't think either of us would have made it. He was my hero, truly. But that's a story for another time. The point is, things went awry in ways I could never have predicted, and now, here I am, second-guessing everything. Family dynamics are tricky, especially when hormones and new motherhood are clouding my judgment. So, why am I sharing all this with you? Because I need some advice. The whole ordeal started on Anna's wedding day, and, trust me, it's been a ride. Rick has 2 sisters, Anna and Emma, and both of them are younger than him. Anna's 28, Emma's 24. I've always had a solid relationship with both of them, and there's never been any bad blood. Sure, we're not best friends, but we've always stayed in touch, especially since Anna doesn't even live in the same city. We text, we call, we try to keep up. And then there's my mother-in-law, Rachel. Oh, Rachel! Where do I even begin? I don't think I can ever truly describe the level of control she tries to exert over everyone's lives. She's the queen of drama, the absolute master of passive-aggressive behavior. The woman can't stand it if things don't go according to her vision of how life should unfold. Her kids, Rick included, have been raised under her thumb, and while I get it to a degree, dealing with her is like walking through a constant minefield. She can go from being sweet as pie to throwing a tantrum worthy of a toddler in seconds. So, I try to stay as far away from her as possible. And Rick? He gets it. He knows his mom is a lot to handle, and he gives me the space I need to avoid conflict. But, oh, that day, the day May was born, it was the absolute worst. Anna, my sister-in-law, was getting married that same day. It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life, and, honestly, I wanted to be there for her. I did. But everything was a mess. I was huge, about 3 months pregnant, my feet were swollen, and I could barely stand up, let alone fit into a bridesmaid dress. I told Anna I couldn't be there as maid of honor anymore, and, boy, I expected a huge fallout. But to my surprise, Anna was understanding, even kind. She reassured me, even offering to move her wedding so I could attend. Can you believe that? In the end, we both agreed it wasn't feasible, but she supported me through the whole pregnancy, and I'll always be grateful for that. But there was one person who didn't take it as well, Rachel. I don't know if she was upset about the change in the wedding plans or the fact that I wasn't fulfilling my role as maid of honor, but from that moment, the tension started building. She didn't exactly make things easy for me, but I figured it was just wedding stress. Boy, was I wrong. Fast forward to the wedding day, there I was, feeling like I might pass out any second, but Anna wanted me there. She needed me there. And so, despite the discomfort, I went. But Rachel, she wasn't having it. The entire time, she glared at me. Not one word, just silent judgment. But honestly, I didn't have the energy to deal with her. I just kept my eyes on Anna, who was so happy I was there, and that's all that mattered. Then came the moment, the one that changed everything. Just before the ceremony, I started feeling really off. I tried to make my way upstairs, hoping a quick break would help. But I didn't realize Rachel had followed me. I went to the bathroom, and that's when it happened. My water broke. It was a flood. And suddenly, all I could think was, this is it. This is the worst possible timing. And then, I looked up. There was Rachel, standing in the doorway. I was panicking, in intense pain, and I asked her to take my phone and call Rick. I needed him, we needed him. But instead of rushing to help me, she locked me in the bathroom, refusing to let me reach out to my husband. She actually made me wait an hour until the ceremony was over, so I wouldn't steal Anna's spotlight. I was in labor, in agony, and she had the audacity to do that. I tried to grab my phone back, but she kept it from me. I banged on the door, screamed until my voice was gone, but no one could hear me. The whole time, I was sweating, exhausted, terrified that I wouldn't make it. My only thought was, if I die here, I take my baby with me. And then, I don't even remember how I made it to the hospital. I just know I was there. What happened next? I'm still trying to make sense of it all. And now, I need your help. I woke up a few hours later, disoriented, and found myself in a hospital room, Rick by my side, sobbing. It took me a moment to piece together where I was and what had happened. But when I saw Rick's face, tears streaming down, my heart sank. What happened? Why was he so upset? Was something terrible going on? Everything came rushing back in that instant. I remembered my mother-in-law locking me in the bathroom, the overwhelming sorrow I felt as I cried, and my fear that I might not have made it out alive. Had I really come so close to losing everything? When Rick saw me wake up, he let out a sigh of relief so deep I could feel it in my bones. He collapsed into my arms, crying harder than I'd ever seen him before. I was confused. What was going on? A sinking feeling settled in my stomach. Was it all a dream? What had happened to my life? And then, just when I thought my heart couldn't take any more, a nurse walked in, holding a little bundle in her arms. A baby girl! I exhaled sharply, a wave of relief crashing over me. She was here. She was okay. For a moment, I wanted to shake Rick, maybe even slap him for messing with me like that. How could he make me think the worst? But, as he gently explained, he wasn't trying to mess with me. He'd just been so relieved to see me wake up after finding me unconscious in the bathroom. I guess, in that moment, he didn't know what else to do but cry. And there I was, holding my daughter for the first time. The feeling, nothing could ever top it. The overwhelming love, the sheer joy of holding this perfect little life in my arms. I'll never forget it. Ever. It's the most powerful emotion I've ever felt. Rick didn't give me any details just then, and honestly, I was grateful for that. I couldn't handle more than the moment I was in. But faint noises drifted in from the hallway, and I asked Rick what was going on. His response was simple but loaded. Mother-in-law was outside. She wanted to come in and meet her granddaughter. I looked Rick in the eye and told him everything. Everything. What had happened. How she'd endangered our daughter, my baby, for no reason. And I made it clear, there was no way I would ever let her near my daughter again. She was dead to me. Rick took a deep breath and said he already knew everything. When he found me, Unconscious and vulnerable, she broke down and told him everything. But, just because she cried, just because she begged for forgiveness, that didn't mean I was ready to forgive her. Not after what she had done. Rick laughed, but it wasn't a joyful laugh. It was more like a sigh of relief. My mother is dead to me, too, he said. And I'm going to make sure she pays for what she did. He'd press charges. He wouldn't let her get away with putting our lives in danger. I can't even describe the weight that lifted off my chest when I heard those words. He stood by me. He chose me. He chose us. And somewhere deep down, I had been terrified that he might not. That, after all she had done for him, after all the sacrifices she'd made for him and his siblings, he might choose her over me. But he didn't. And I loved him more for it, if that was even possible. I really loved him more. I asked him about the wedding. How did it go? He told me everything was fine, and that Emma and Anna were waiting for him to call, so they could visit us. I couldn't help but ask about Anna. Was she upset? His laughter filled the room. You don't have to worry about Anna, he said, grinning. She's been beaming with pride, saying that her complete family was at the wedding and that May's birth was the best gift she could have received. I started crying at the thought of it. How could they be so good to me? I didn't even know how to process it. Call them, I whispered, barely able to hold it together. Within minutes, Anna, Emma, and Jono were in the hospital with me. The best part? Anna and Jono were still in their wedding clothes. Anna, ever the free spirit, declared that there was no way she was going to miss the chance to take a wedding picture with her niece. And that's when the tears came pouring down. Full-on sobbing. It was a moment I'll never forget. After the picture, I apologized to Anna for ruining her day, but she hugged me tight. You're looking at it all wrong, she said. You made my day. As I told her about the drama with my mother-in-law, Anna's face softened. She said the only thing I did wrong was not telling them sooner. Maybe, just maybe, they could have helped put a stop to the chaos. But I didn't want to cause any more trouble. Emma chimed in, saying any trouble was fine, as long as I was safe. And that, right there, is when it hit me. They loved me. I wasn't just Rick's wife to them. I was family. Anna is one of the strongest, most secure women I know. She has her life together in ways I can only dream of. But it's clear that Rachel, my mother-in-law, couldn't be more different. It's like her children saw the chaos in her and decided that was not the life they wanted. It was strange, but honestly, I didn't care. I didn't have time to care. And Rachel? She was still outside. Anna had made sure to tell her that Rick and I were pressing charges. No matter what she said or did, it was happening. Rachel had no right to come near May. She'd proven that she wasn't safe. Anna was done defending her, and I was done, too. Anna also apologized to me for not addressing her mother's overprotective tendencies sooner. But I quickly reassured her that it wasn't her fault. She had always made me feel safe. She had my back. Rick handled everything with his mother. When I was discharged and finally came home with May a couple of days later, he told me exactly what had gone down. He'd told his mother that he would press charges, no matter how much she cried or begged. He also made it clear that she was never to be part of May's life. Not as a grandmother, not as anything. He told her that, for all the sacrifices she'd made for him and his siblings, it didn't give her the right to control their lives. And when Rachel started crying, saying she had slaved away for them her whole life, Rick told her, while I appreciate all you've done, it doesn't excuse your actions. Not anymore. You crossed a line, and there's no going back. He said he had been making excuses for her for years, But when it came to May and me, there was no more room for excuses. As for the case, it's moving forward. And Rick's handling it. I can't afford to carry that weight right now. I have a newborn to care for, and I'm not going to let this drama overwhelm me. Rick's got it. And for the first time in a long while, I feel like everything might just be okay. I knew it was coming. The moment I had dreaded. But nothing could have prepared me for how it all unfolded. The fact that none of Rick's siblings were willing to speak to her anymore. That Anna had completely cut her off. Emma only talked to her when absolutely necessary. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, how did it get to this point? How could someone who was once a part of our lives become so toxic, so unrecognizable? I never thought this would be our reality, yet here we are. And here I was, wondering, did she really mean to protect Anna? Was that her intention all along? But let's be real. I'm not defending her. Not in the slightest. Not after everything she's done. But deep down, a small part of me still felt sorry for her. How it all backfired. How her twisted actions, driven by jealousy and insecurity, left her standing alone. Did she think she'd get away with it? Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't realize just how much she had lost. But then again, should we give her a chance to explain herself? Does she deserve that? I couldn't help but wonder, even as it gnawed at me. I know if I brought it up to Rick, he'd lose it. He's furious with her. And who can blame him? The way she treated me, the way she endangered our baby, he can't even look at her right now. So, what do we do? The truth is, I never saw it coming. Never thought this would be our fate. Yet here we are. And as time went on, the weight of it all felt like it might swallow me whole. Now, let me update you on what's been happening. You probably thought I'd left you hanging. Well, I've been a little busy, being a new mom and all. But here's the good news, May is about to turn 8 weeks old. 8 weeks! Time has flown by, and every day is a gift. Anna and Jonah have been absolute angels, helping Rick and me navigate this new chapter in our lives. Emma's back at work, but she calls us almost every day to check in. May? Oh, she's the light of everyone's life. Our group chat is flooded with her pictures, her giggles, her adorable little milestones. It's impossible not to smile every time we see her. And then, there's mother-in-law. We've had no contact. None. I convinced Rick not to press charges. It was a hard decision, but we have enough on our plates without adding more drama. Plus, it wasn't going to bring us peace. He was hesitant, but in the end, he agreed. But when we told her, her reaction, that was something else. She acted all grateful, but it didn't feel genuine. Because, trust me, if you think that was her true self, you're wrong. She showed us who she really is just last week. You won't believe this, Rick and I were jolted awake at 1 a.m. by loud banging on the door. I thought we were being robbed. I grabbed May and hid while Rick went to open the door. I could hear shouting, so much shouting, but I didn't dare step out because I didn't want May to wake up. Can you imagine? It was mother-in-law. And she was acting like a madwoman. Screaming that she had a right to see May and that we couldn't keep her away. What the hell was she thinking? Rick had to threaten to call the police before she backed off. We were shaken. It was insane. The next day, she sent us a text. And that text, oh, it was disturbing. She accused us of being nasty and horrid for not letting her see May. She said we were punishing her for nothing more than being a mother. And then, Her message spiraled into complete madness. She said she had to juggle her kids' priorities, as if that's an excuse for the way she's acted. She even said that May, a baby who wasn't even born yet, was taking the spotlight away from Anna. What? I couldn't even process that. She was competing with a newborn? The worst part? She said she felt threatened by May's arrival, like she wouldn't matter to her kids anymore. She thought Anna would be angry when I announced my pregnancy, but that didn't happen. No, instead, we were all happy. We celebrated both the pregnancy and the wedding. But apparently, she didn't want that. She wanted us to be jealous. She wanted competition. And then she crossed a line. She said she was disrespected by a baby who wasn't even born yet. This was too much. So, I did the only thing I could. I asked Rick to block her. And let me tell you, that woman is deranged. Unsafe. I can't be around her. We all agreed she was toxic, and I've had a headache ever since reading those messages. Can you believe it? A woman in her 50s acting like this. I'm done. I'm done making excuses for her. I'm done trying to understand why she behaves the way she does. She can go to hell for all I care. I forwarded the messages to Anna and Emma, and they were just as disturbed as I was. Emma thinks she's having a manic episode. She's even considering flying down to get her checked at a facility. And you know what? Maybe she's right. Maybe something's wrong with her. But honestly, I want no part of it anymore. And here's the final update. We've got a restraining order against her. Yes, you heard that right. A restraining order. She hasn't tried anything since, but we're being cautious. Emma had her checked out by a psychologist and psychiatrist. Nothing. No underlying medical condition, nothing to explain her behavior. Just pure nastiness. Emma has gone no contact with her now. She said she'd help if something was wrong, but not like this. Not with the hatefulness. I totally get it. I feel the same way. Now, the restraining order? It's not just a precaution. It's necessary. Rick and we will not let her near May. Safety first. Always. And that, my friends, is where we are. I think this will be my last update. I hope to never have to talk about this again. Ever.